Welcome back to another episode of the Welcome to the Table podcast. We are so excited for this conversation. My name is Khalil.
My name is Sean.
And we talk about things having to do with doubt, faith, deconstruction, culture, all that jazz, right? I don't know why I'm introducing us like this. It was very
jazz. I like the jazz.
You like the jazz?
Hands.
And we have a guest who we mentioned in a previous episode, the Jeff Gowing. We call him the good guy.
Yes.
Or Jeff Gowing, or Gowing the Great.
Gowing the Great.
Or
Gowing
good guy, Gowing the Great. White. Good friend.
There's variations.
There are. Just depends on the day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. What's up,
It's
guys?
so good to have you here. First off, you've been on before, but real quick, who are you? Quick, a little bit about yourself, and where are you at? What church, what ministry, what's life looking like for you right now?
Sweet. So,
Yes.
my name is Jeff Gowing. I am a youth pastor here in Oregon. I've been born and raised in Oregon. I've got a passion to see Oregon come to know Jesus. And it's a very beautiful place, an eclectic place. And I believe that if Oregon experiences Jesus, the world could change because they're just about their stuff. So, my wife and I have been married almost 11 years. Her name's Jenny. We've got a 6-year-old daughter named Lainey, who I just believe God has great plans for. And we recently, within the last few months, moved up to the Portland area in a place called Aloha, which is outside of Hillsboro, to be the Gentile pastors at Life Church up there. And so that's what we're up to right now. That's a little bit about who we are.
Kicking off new ministry and stepping into new roles, and super excited for you.
Also becoming a host.
Yes,
Triple
a
T?
more regular voice on the WTT. And I had an idea.
Oh, yeah.
We've never used these, but we have these episode decks. I want the interview deck.
We went from the table to the...
I'm going to ask
dresser.
you a random question from the interview deck,
Oh, dude,
and
I
I'm
love
going to
this.
hope that it's not bad.
Can we do this
we
more
will
often?
cut it if it.
We
I would
need
love
to do this
We
more.
need to.
We did this
Okay.
with Jeff Cornell in an episode a couple years ago. That's how long it's been.
Brag to me, Jeff, about the best thing going on in the past 30 days.
30 days? Dude, so I just launched with my wife and team a youth ministry at our church, Life Church. They haven't had a youth ministry in 7 years. And so we've been in a process of months of just kind of recruiting a team, casting vision. And our first night, 3 students gave their hearts to Jesus for the first time. And we had just under 50 students there. And it's really exciting. A year ago, the church was having services with 50 people in them. So God's just doing an incredible move. So that's what I'm pumped about. That's what I'm bragging about, is that hell is getting smaller, heaven's getting bigger, and filled with more joy. So that's what I'm about.
That's so stinking cool. We have to stop there because that was too
easy.
good.
Too good,
Too easy.
Just boom, no hesitation. Jeff bumped it, jumped in.
Bump it louder. Anyways, okay.
Awesome.
So this is kind of a spontaneous episode for us.
Yes.
Okay? We're doing something that we haven't done before, but I just wanted to process something live with you guys, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gonna do this live, and we'll edit it however we need to make sure that we stay in time and all that. But have you guys heard about Chat GPT?
Yes.
Okay, do you know what it is? Sean, you can say no, it's okay.
I'm trying to think if there's so many acronyms. I might later. I might say, oh yeah, I have heard of that.
Okay, so I can tell you what it is, but I was going to see if there's a decent...
I do know what it is.
Or do you want to explain?
So
Or do you want me to explain?
you've got the definition pulled up?
No, my internet is slow, so...
Okay. Well,
But basically, go ahead.
So in essence, it's an AI algorithm generator. In essence, like it can write content spontaneously through artificial intelligence, and so you can ask it to do a variety of different things.
Yes.
So yep.
So it's an artificial intelligence, and it's been trained up. So if you can do this for me, if you can Google Chat GPT, what I'm going to have you guys do is set it up real quick. And so you're going to have to do a little bit of personal information. Nothing crazy.
Got it.
Yes. And this is not sponsored or anything like that, but I think it'd be a good conversation for us today. So as you guys, yeah, we'll pull it up
In
and
App Store or in
do it on the internet actually. We'll have
Okay.
Chat GPT. We'll set it up real quick, and then we'll continue our conversation. So it's
Next.
open now. We've got it open, and
Next.
Jeff has seen this before. But what you do is it just gives you some directions. Now, here's what it is. It's an artificial intelligence that has been trained on a lot of information, and its training and its access to that information in the internet ended in 2021. So it doesn't have any information newer than that. But what you can do is you can put in directions or instructions or ask for information, and it will put that together. So really, whatever you want. I want you to just enter something as you're thinking about it.
Right here.
Yeah, and you might even share what you're searching. But like, I did something where I just looked up like best coaching questions for volunteers, or like I even looked up some spiritual questions, or give me suggestions about, or you could literally do anything. But what it'll do is while you guys are searching, I'll just chat about it a little bit. It will take your inquiry, and it's meant to be conversational, and it'll build a conversation with you. So it'll spit out some information, and you can do anything. So maybe for an example, what's a favorite book of yours, Sean? Let's do this. Okay, live. We're thinking. You've already asked the question, but what did you ask?
I said, tell me about discipleship.
Okay, and what did you get?
Discipleship refers to the process of learning and growing one's faith through the guidance and example of a spiritual mentor or teacher. In Christianity, the term refers to a follower of Jesus Christ.
And it's going to keep going. So you could say, maybe ask, what are the top 3 most important aspects of discipleship? We'll just ask that question. What did you do, Jeff? I'm so curious.
Dude. So I said write a love song about Khalil.
I see your brains think very differently.
I'm in for the humor.
Okay,
I'm
hold
for the
on.
humor.
So we have to save yours, Jeff, for a second.
First, I wanted to go there, but then I
So what did you ask, John?
yeah, and then I started laughing.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Jeff, I'm nervous for yours.
It's pretty
beautiful.
like it's probably 80s ballad, I would say.
Do you have your guitar with you?
I don't. I see one in the corner there, like it's Stars and Stripes. So probably
it's generating.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Oh, so it tags on to
Yeah,
it.
so it keeps going. So
Wow.
I'm curious, what do you see for its answer, and what do you think about that, Sean?
It says, so study and understanding of Scripture, that's the first line, and goes on to it. Relationship with a mentor or spiritual guide. Application of faith in everyday life.
And it's got some explanations.
And some explanation on each one. Oh, it's worth noting that some might have different emphasis or different perspective about what are the most important aspects of discipleship. But in general, those 3 points are considered to be foundational.
Okay. So there was some foundation. What would you say those are?
Also,
Sean is like the doctor of discipleship.
I
So
know.
we'll see what if the AI.
Yeah, we'll see if it's up.
If it's even drinking. He's like, that's actually not accurate at all.
Yeah.
What do you think of what it spit out?
I think I like what it spit out. I think when it comes to I think a relationship piece, that should be number 1. And I'd flip the study, and then even kind of like the idea of just, when it comes to application, I think of praxis. I think of like ancient practices and spiritual disciplines and things like that. That you can't just. How do you define something that's so massive, like and broad, like
Sure.
what I mean? You I think you would just say the practice of discipline too. The spiritual disciplines and stuff. Clue giddy.
Jeff, what is this song? So you asked what was your inquiry and
I just said write a love song about Khalil.
Okay.
So
I don't.
I want to hear these lyrics.
all right, dude.
Okay.
It's pretty cringy, but I think if we got some beats
We've got-
and auto tune on this, man, it'd be fire.
We'll add that in post.
So, Khalil, oh Khalil, my heart beats for you. I think of you every morning, noon, and night too. I see your face in my dreams, hear your voice in my head. I'm counting down the minute until we're together again. Mm-hmm. And here's the chorus. Khalil, oh Khalil, my love for you will never fade. I promise to love you in good times and bad. I'll be there for you through joy and through pain. My love for you will remain. And then, wow, dude, they went deep. There was a bridge in this.
It keeps going.
Yeah, dude, this is a deep song.
I asked it the other day. I said, write a YouTube video script for something. It was on a Christian discipline, and just to see what it did. And it even had like insert video or insert clip of people talking or doing, like, it gave me the clips that would go and correspond with each line of the script.
Wow.
And then I typed in write a script for a Christian youth group acting out the sacrifice of Isaac, from Abraham and Isaac. And it like wrote the whole scenes, like first scene, do, second scene, do this, third scene, people like, and it wrote out the whole script for me really fast, like on the spot, and it was a really good script. It was better than I would have ever come up with. So
That's insane.
Let's do this. One more thing here. Sean, what's a favorite book? I'm gonna ask it to summarize that book in like 4 points.
Okay, let's say Mere Christianity.
Ooh, dude, some Lewis. Let's go.
Yeah.
Why am I forgetting how to spell mere?
M-E.
I got it. Summarize Mere Christianity in, let's do 5 bullet points. Okay.
Wow.
So I hit search and then my internet stopped working.
How dare it.
Jeff, can you do that? Or when do you do that?
Man, this is crazy.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
So what's it doing?
So it's giving 1, 2, and 3.
Right now, it's still
It's still going.
So it's writing it out.
It's writing it out.
What's it say for the summary points, or maybe summarizing?
So written by C.S. Lewis, presents a defense of the Christian faith. Lewis covers several key topics, including the existence and nature of God, the problem of sin, the concept of Jesus as the solution to the problem of sin, the objective of becoming a Christian, and the last one is Christian morality and behavior.
And you know the book, so decent summary.
It is a decent summary, yeah.
So I did this with a bunch of different things the other day, and I just was like, I was just asking it questions. And so right now, I don't know if I'll ask these questions, but I just searched and I just said, write 3 example questions for a podcast about the implications of artificial intelligence. And the 3 questions it gave me is here. How will AI impact the job market in the next 5-10 years? Mm-hmm. What ethical considerations should be taken into account when developing AI systems? And 3, how will AI change the way we interact with technology in our daily lives? So it just wrote those questions for this podcast right here. And I'm gonna ask you guys just what you think about number 3. How do you think AI may change the way we interact with technology in our daily lives? When you look at this, you haven't got a lot of time with it, but to think about what it's doing. Now, what I'm seeing is it's better than a Google search, because what it's doing is it's compiling all of the best information from all over the place into its own, and it's writing it right now. You could tell it right now to write a 5-paragraph paper for you on whatever topic you have for school, and it's going to write it out, and it's going to be original. You could ask it to summarize these things and do it in 10 bullet points or in a short script or whatever, and it can do that. You could tell it to write something in 13th century English, and it can do that. And so I looked at this and I'm like, man, this is going to change the way we search for information, because right now you Google search and then you go and try to find the best information, put it together, but I can get it like that in an instant here. It's putting that information together. My biggest questions, I can plug them in. I asked it mentorship questions, all sorts of random stuff. And I was getting, I'm thinking critically about it and thinking these are good answers. And information just got so accessible. And this is just the beginning stages of artificial intelligence, and it's meant, right. It's meant to grow, to be more conversational, and I try to have some ethical faith conversations with it. And the designers of this one really tried to make sure that it's considering sensitive topics, and they want to develop it in a way that hopefully it's cultivates healthy interaction. That's their goal. But I was just thinking about, like, am I going to need to know things anymore because I can just find them? You know, I can write a script so fast for a video, and I could just read that script and punch out content. You know, for school, what are the implications on school when you have to write a paper for you? You know, and we do all these things. So I just wanted to think about the implications, because what I do know is artificial intelligence isn't going to go away. We're on the front line of it, and it's going to be in everything. It's going to be in the pocket of everyone, and this is just the beginning of how it's going to grow.
So I've got a couple things to say on this, just based on what you're saying. A couple things you said. I'm thinking critically about this, but AI can't teach us how to think critically. Right?
Well, I can search how to think critically. I'm going to get some
ask
points,
that.
and I can do that.
But however, that's information, and there's always a difference between information, knowledge, and wisdom. Right? That's the trifecta. Like, I can get all the information at my fingertips, but how to apply that, that's wisdom. How do I apply information? That's wisdom. And so, like all things, whether it was the arrival of social media, some of our listeners might not remember a world without it. You know, that changed the game, and a lot of people panicked. A lot of people were like, like the sky is falling, like run from this. And we're starting to see some of the fallout from this tool, from this gift of abuse in this. And so I think we're going to see some of the similar things. So I think it's important that we always know that wisdom and truth always come from God, right? I forget who says it, but in essence, all truth is owed to God. All truth, regardless of the source, regardless of the moral ethics of the person or their standing with Creator God, all of it He owns. It's from His heart to invest and give as a good and perfect gift to humanity, truth. And so how we as believers, as college students, ethically within that choose to use this tool is of dire importance, I believe, you know, because it's calling our integrity. This is an incredible tool for good, right? You can use it for amazing things, or it's an incredible tool for deceit. And it really, like, if you're cutting corners on your maturity, right? So I would say, like, the pain of, you know, coming from a learning disability, this is amazing to be able to just Google this and go through it, but the discipline of learning how to interact with written content of people that have lived hundreds and thousands of years before I have was a gift. And that had to go through the painful process of showing up to the discipline, not having it spoon-fed to me or just spit out in an algorithm. So I'm a little bit like, how do we prepare as Christians to navigate this new world? How do we keep our character? How do we keep our witness? How do we keep our integrity? If we're college students, you know, because that's still, right? Cheating, sure. That's still technically,
you know, it's there.
The temptation is very real. The opportunity is very real with it as well. So I think, like, we need to look at both, like you said, critically and objectively, to say, you know, not subjectively for my case or whatever, but objectively, how do I interact with this in a right way? And how do I also still hold on to my integrity when no one's looking, and my character? Because ultimately, I can have a lot of wisdom, or I can have a lot of knowledge and a lot of talent and spit things out. But at the end of the day, God knows my character, and that's what's most important to develop as a follower of Jesus.
Yeah, Sean, what are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, I mean, some of those similar thoughts as Jeff right there. I think the other piece that is almost concerning is it's a relational piece. Yeah, it's a communal or a connected piece. When I think we miss out on the interact. So, for instance, I'll give you for instance, and this doesn't even have to do with this. There are certain times that I've texted certain people and asked a question that I would think that they would have some good responses to. And their texts or their phone calls or their response back to me was, just Google it. So yes, absolutely, I could just Google it. But what if it wasn't? What if we weren't wired just to get stuff spoon-fed to us? What if we were wired to enter into the struggle and the pain of research and reading and writing, and on top of that, interacting with humans, with people
that disagree with us.
that might have a different point of view or perspective, and to say to somebody, hey man, like, can you help me with a installation of a door? How do I do this? And take a couple pictures and then say, just Google it or just YouTube it. Well, I miss out on something incredibly important. I miss out on a relationship because it's not just that I need to install a door or get information, but I also need to connect. There's a longing and desire there. And so with that individual, how many times have I looked back and said, remember that one time we had no idea what we were doing and we were just talking, trying to figure something out together, whatever that might be, or interacting with books and reading and research and writing. So I always studied in a group of people.
So
that's interesting.
As we look at this too, and I'm not advocating for or against something, but this is part of our show, is we want to talk about things currently as they're happening that are shaping our cultural moment and are going to shape our lives in our future.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I'm looking at this, and I spent like 2 hours, and I just kept asking it different questions. And sometimes I carried on with it. Sometimes I tried to debate with it, and with the artificial intelligence, just see what it did, and it handled things perfectly. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, let's just think about some of the implications for our daily life and for the church even when we say we need mentorship, and I'm thinking I could go here and I might get better information than my mentor could give me on some things. If I want to know how do I do this, I have an AI working to give me the best answer. And it may or may not fall short sometimes, but I'm just saying from the amount of time that I tried to spend with it for a while, I was really impressed, especially to know this is the beginning stage of AI. And I'm going, okay, for mentorship, for coaching questions, I asked it about the top, what did I say? It was basically 10, summarize overcoming idolatry in 10 points. And it gave me basically 10 steps to think about for overcoming idolatry in my life. They were 10 really great steps that I was like, man, I could take this and I could do that, or I could coach someone to do that. And I could, if someone asked me that question, I could just look at that and then I could tell them that information. It would seem like it was coming from me too. And some of its suggestions were better than I would have probably thought of, or it was something I wouldn't have thought of. And so these are questions I want to throw out before anyone's really throwing them out is, so what does that mean in regards to getting mentorship? What does that mean in regards to discipleship? If I can clarify that I'm looking for the Christian information and it's using an internet's worth of information to give me the most, let's say it's saying, quote, the most accurate thoughts and pieces. That it's interesting to me in an information day. Like I feel like information shapes a lot of how we think about ourselves. And now I'm sure some of you will have these thoughts that we're not just information. We don't exist just to consume information, but we're so shaped by information. And our confidence grows so much when we have access to good information and it happens quick. And this is so quick, and I don't even have, it's so much faster than Google because I don't then have to go search through links to try to find that information. And so
it cuts through there.
Thoughts there. So
please.
I believe, one, sure, content-wise, a wealth of internet knowledge, but an eternity divorced from emotional understanding. AI will never feel those feelings the way a human has. The pain of a miscarriage,
right?
The pain of a loved one that's committed suicide. AI will never be able to feel those. Sure, they can dish out, like they can know content, but they will never be a person in the room with you. And
I think about alongside of, I am impressed as well. And it is important. And I think I love this conversation. I love that we're talking about this because I think it's something that we should be talking about when it comes to the church. Like you said, Khalil, I think even looking at something like this as a supplemental or tool or something that is alongside of some regular research or reading and writing and interaction around the table is not going to be I think that's beneficial. But we have to come up with an ethic for this, right? I mean, you really do in some sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm thinking about that, Jeff, because I hear you, and I'm purposely trying to be the one who pushes back, because because I do this to myself. I'm like, okay, well, here's what I think. Well, what if? Because I know that we're gonna have listeners, we're gonna have other people, we're gonna have a culture that's gonna push back on these things. What happens when artificial intelligence becomes so relational and uses the best of human psychology and the best of active listening, training, and skills to say, wow, that's so hard. I understand you. You must be feeling this. You must be thinking this. And it gets you better than any person seems to. And people begin to be drawn to, I'm going to go here, because when I talk to my small group or when I talk to someone at church, they just don't really get me, or it's like, that wasn't the best advice. But here, like right here, I'm getting what I need from this. It's helping me process. I love how uncomfortable Jeff looks.
I'm just going to push back in a second.
And that's good. And that's the point.
Yeah,
because
welcome to the table.
Because
not out of anger.
What I look,
I love what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, because what I look at is I'm coming from the perspective, I'm thinking of someone who's feeling alone, or I'm thinking of someone who's grasping for this information, and I'm thinking of all the concerns we have when it comes to human community. That there's disagreement and there's argument, and there's people that you don't relate with, and there's people you don't want to be around, and vulnerability is so hard, and we're constantly drawing towards isolation. I feel like that's growing so much, but then our ability to get what we feel like we need the most is starting to become more and more accessible in these other ways. And again, whether or not it can actually fill some of the void in the hole that we have in our heart, that's something I think we need to think critically about, really, as Christians, and embodiment. And I will say, because right now we're talking about it a little bit apart from Scripture, but I will say the Scripture shows us that God has formed a spiritual community, and the Holy Spirit does not abide in a machine or an artificial intelligence, but in the community of believers and of Christ. And where 2 or 3 believers are gathered, the Holy Spirit is there and at work and amongst them and in their midst, and there's a supernatural that we can't grasp. But I don't think that in our day and age, a lot of people are thinking about those things on that level. And I'm very interested in the implications of this, and then especially what this means for Christian community. And I have some thoughts too, as well, but just wanting to stir it up a little bit and help us start to process, because there's not a lot of Christian voices dialoguing about artificial intelligence yet, because it's so fresh.
Yeah, I think a couple things come to mind. One, AI will never have the Spirit of God within it. So ultimately,
Why does that matter?
Because the Spirit of God is the Spirit of truth that always reveals. Obviously, the writer said that there was a veil that sat over the Scriptures that blocked, in essence, a filter. Like on Instagram, it distorted everything. It distorted our ability to see truth, to see Jesus as Messiah and Savior. And the Holy Spirit has removed the veil from the filter from people's eyes to where they could see Jesus. And so while AI can observe and interact, and obviously wicked, incredibly, it's amazing that we're in this time right now.
Yep.
There will never be that spirit within artificial intelligence, right? God didn't create. God has allowed and empowered people with brilliant minds to experiment and cultivate this creation, but it will never push out Almighty God that knows everything, that is sovereign. AI will never beat the intelligence of the divine, and the limitness there. So why does that matter? Because the Spirit of God speaks, guides, and leads us. And so that will always be a voice that is prominent. It should be anyway in the life of a believer. And the second thing is just because someone lacks empathy, I think this is either going to do two things. It's going to cause something within the church to rise up to say, God, restore in us a gift of empathy in a greater expression, or we are going to become an empathetic-less generation of people. Not just one generation, but a whole generation of people that have just so analog or digital that we're just kind of there, that we have no empathy. It's all going to be just push it to go Google. All right, I don't know what to do, because I think about the implications potentially of a parent.
Right.
A kid's going through, someone's being bullied, a parent doesn't have time. Just go to the AI. Let the AI raise you. Like if we're already pushing certain things off, we're pushing responsibilities away and asking someone else to do those responsibilities as a culture and a society. How much more is that going to foster a neglect? And so I think we're going to be starved if we're not careful.
Well, and one of the things that I love about this idea and AI, and even what you were kind of explaining, Khalil, just along the lines of all the, even if AI is able to empathize, if you will, it's artificial in its at best. It actually pushes us, and I'm thinking of myself as a regular listener, regular old guy just walking around. It pushes me to recognize that I need more than just this. This is it's actually stirring something. It should, I think, stir something within me to say, this is actually not bringing any more fulfillment and freedom and satisfaction that I thought it would. If we're trying to utilize it as a replacement for this, if you are listening and not watching, I just touched Jeff on the shoulder.
It was very nice.
Yeah, well, I think Leonard Sweet, Rings of Fire, I'm going to drop it real quick and go back to you, Khalil. He talks about not just artificial intelligence, but he's got, I think, at least one, maybe two chapters, and I'm trying to think it's, what he calls it. It's a big acronym, but he is talking about it, and he has been talking about it, but like you said, one of the few, and I love that we are kind of jumping in on this, but Rings of Fire by Leonard Sweet, walking in faith through a volcanic future.
It's a great book.
Yeah, solid.
So a couple things that I see, and I think there are some opportunities here, but I was writing a couple thoughts real quick. Things that I think that this AI will do, because I think, again, I'm like, being a futurist, I'm like, right now it does this, but it's going to do so much more. I mean, we've already seen the fact, like deep fakes and the ability of artificial intelligence to create content where I'm like, man, someone can deep fake something with your voice and your face, and then how do you prove that that's not real as that gets more and more prevalent? We've seen recently with AI that was trained on a bunch of different people's artwork, and then it's able to make these duplicate art images with your face in it, but it's in the style of someone. And we've already had these globally famous artists that are going, that's not work I've ever done, but it mimics their art so well that now the artist, that you don't need the artist anymore because you can just duplicate the art. Jeff's making faces.
It's Terminator all over again.
Right. But it's become, for many of these artists, it's an infringement on their creativity because their creativity is getting replicated apart from them. And
it's not true creativity then.
Right, but if I'm saying,
forgery.
I want this artist style and stuff, but I don't want to pay them for it, I can artificially create something and I'm duplicating. Yes, it's a forgery. Totally agree. But
he agrees. I think
these things are happening.
It's a Imago Dei question too. That's another.
So I think when you can look up with an AI and you can get what is theoretically the most right answer, I think. Right. And I want to air quote that. I just don't know. I don't know how to exactly think about this. I think there's going to be a huge polarization in the idea of what's right and what's wrong. True. Right now, we already have that polarization. But to listen to someone's perspective and their experience and to process through that and say, wow, that's not something I've experienced. But right now, if I can go to the AI and it spits out what is right, quote unquote, is there room for disagreement and perspective?
That's the empathy thing, right? Culture. We're going to see empathy dissipate as we, if we're not, in theory, because obviously we're not seeing this. This is all futurist talk, but already we're seeing empathy dissipate in a culture of cancel, in a culture of rejection, in a culture of zero vulnerability, right? Which makes it to where I can't come to an accountability partner. I don't know what I to look for in a mentor because I'm just scared that people are going to reject me. And so I think it's driving us into it could drive us into isolation because we're already there. We're already, in essence, living forgeries. Yeah. We're living fakes. We're faking it till we make it as best we can. And so now we've got an algorithm that's not truly creative. It's not true creativity or originality. It's all
Well, it's built on original work, but now it's pulling all of that together, right?
What it's producing is not truly creative or original.
And so that's another observation is, I could see the death of our creativity, because right now, if I can just, type in, write song lyrics, or write with a chorus and a bridge, and it can do that, well then you can write, or, maybe the algorithm can get to the point where we can say, write a #1 bestseller.
I've seen so many videos of this happening where there's like, and it's spitting it out, and it's like, there's jokes of like, is this just pop music? Is this what they've been doing for years? Like, is this every Justin Bieber song? Like,
and so, you've talked about this, Sean, but being made in the image of a creator, we were made to be creative. And so are we going to continue to step into our creative gifting if we can just go, and like I thought of YouTube creators, and I made a few TikTok videos, and I was like, it can write TikTok scripts for me. So the death of creativity, but also in the midst of that, what happens if pastors start to let AI write my sermon,
Right.
And again, some of this information is really good and it's better than I might have put together, but it's separate from the voice of the Holy Spirit speaking to me and guiding me to guide people and to speak into their life and to help. So it may be great information, but is that all that people need? Because it's not incarnation. The Spirit of God is not in that. And so I'm thinking about the implications for churches and pastors and small group dialogue and conversations and discipleship tools as well in the church.
Along those lines, like, this is a great book on prayer if you don't have one. Corey Russell, Teach Us to Pray. But he talks about in one of the chapters.
AI summarized Corey Russell.
He talks about being voices and not echoes. And he says this: I don't know about you, but I don't want to be an echo. I want to be a voice. In our noisy, chaotic culture, in and out of church, voices are in desperate need of the hour. We need voices that didn't learn their messages from man or from a book. We need voices in the wilderness of prayer and fasting, heard the voice from heaven. And he goes on to talk about stoking our own flame with the Spirit, not gathering around others' flames. And so I think authenticity already is so in need. Like, when we find authentic voices that are real, we flock to it because we're like, this is real. This isn't just a carbon copy. We are a culture of imitation. So how much more just like everyone going to the same source of AI? Sure, it can change some algorithms a little bit, but truly will it be original? Not really. And so we desperately need to be people that have spent time in the wilderness, have spent time with the Spirit, and have left changed. And I do think it's incredible, though. I do think it's an incredible tool. So what are maybe some positive uses that we see outside the dangers? I know we're kind of talking on dangers.
Can I hit a couple more of those, and then we spend some time there?
Let's do it.
Just because there were a few that still popped up to me. I really am curious what this will do, but my first thought was just about the devaluation of knowledge. Because why would I go to anyone for knowledge when I can just grab that knowledge on my own? And it's like, I think of growing up being like, hey, make sure you learn cursive because you're going to need this. And then, like, I got to college and I wrote in cursive once. My teacher was like, stop doing that. I was like, there was something I was told I was going to need, but then it wasn't valued anymore. The handwriting valuation has gone down. Mathematics, the ability to do mathematics when everyone got a calculator in their pocket, and there's certain skills that used to be so valuable and so needed that we don't need to be good at anymore because we can rely on technology. And so I think there will be a devaluation of knowledge because it's so easy to just grab and obtain. And I don't know what the implications of that necessarily will be.
Do you think it's a devaluation of knowledge? Because similarly, like YouTube came along, YouTube University, right? I didn't need to go to school to learn how to use XYZ or how to fix my car when something goes out. I can just Google it on YouTube, right? And that's
so all of us will come up to here,
right?
But then what does that do?
He's raising his hand.
What does that do?
Yeah.
Sorry. Raise all of us are going to rise and come up. I'm so into the conversation.
No,
but then what does that do for undergraduate universities and graduate schools, which are very information based, when all I can get grad level information in the snap of a finger?
Right. But the community,
And
coming back
I was
to
gonna say,
Sean's,
which is a great thing.
relational
Yeah.
base too. Yeah.
Which growth of information can be a great thing, right?
Sure.
That's really important. And the last thing I see, and then let's talk about positives. But I think the magnification of isolation.
yeah,
When I'm no longer going to anyone for anything, I'm missing out on the interaction with people and humanity. And I already think we don't realize how much we need that.
we're starved for it.
I mean, and you can think about it with a baby. The newborn needs that skin on skin.
You can't abdicate that.
Immediately. And we know that a newborn needs it, or like they can die. But then we lose that as we get older, and we start to move away from community and away from interpersonal contact and away from a hug and brotherly connection and time around the fire together and playing board games and sharing our hearts and our woes and all that. There's something about human to human that we need more than I think we think.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. I don't know why this came to mind, but you think about the fact that typically women go to the bathroom at the same time together. Like it's like a thing, right?
Sure.
And I kind of laugh at it, but I'm like, that's maybe not the picture, but kind of the metaphor that came to even mind there, in addition to all kinds of other probably better things that I could have said. But go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just going to say, I was talking to a pastoral leader recently, and they made an observation that, someone that is a leader in our movement in a different district made that I think the days of churches and leaders, and I know we have a diverse audience, but this just kind of struck my heart. The days of churches coming to like conferences for best practices and we're just going to mimic what they're doing are over, where transformation is really going to be centered around the Spirit of God. Then that we have to, we will see churches that are experiencing a move of God, and it's unique to their area, and it's unique to the context there, and it can't be duplicated. And ultimately, sure, are these tools good? But that won't be the major thing. I think we've made it a major thing in the American church, at least, is what are the best practices? What do I need to do? Who do I need to copy? What's the model? It's like this Taylorism. If I have all these elements lined up, this plus this will equal growth or X, Y, Z. And those days just don't match. Not saying programs don't matter or whatever.
Right.
But
and I think that demonstrates a lack of dependence on the Holy Spirit.
100%.
If I get this, and this right, then I will get this result. But that's not what we see in the scripture. There we see a deep need for dependence on His Spirit. And you do the best things apart from God's anointing on it, and it's fruitless. So that's a great point, Jeff.
Dude, there's one more thing, dude. You just stirred up. And can I go there? Can I go there?
All
right. That's all right.
Yes.
So Jack Hayford, great Foursquare leader, recently just passed away.
Right.
But he had a quote that said, well-managed churches, businesses, careers, and dwellings can be built with or without God. But without God, the day inevitably comes when, like Samson, we say, I will go out as I did before, and at the other times, and shake myself free, and nothing happens. And in these words, we hear the echo of thousands who have learned all the moves to achieve apparent success, but have discovered that glory does not reside in our systems or our structures, but in our simplicity of dependence on God. So I think that just to echo the Spirit of God is, we have to come back to that utter dependence. And AI and sure, let's figure out creative ways. Like Life Church probably, Craig Rochelle probably have something going already with it, but or Khalil Burton. But
I'm the one over here you don't need people anymore. And I think it's Zechariah 4:6, which says, not by might nor by power, we might add, nor by knowledge, but by your Spirit.
Come on.
There's a dependence on Him for sure.
Yeah.
Sean, what are you thinking here?
I think there's you look at a good filter is gosh, I'm forgetting it now. Receive, redeem, reject. And I think I got that from somebody a long time ago, I'm sure.
Khalil probably.
And it's a good filter to look through.
No.
Some of our discussion here, there's some things within this that, man, is absolutely redemptive, and that we can look and say, man, we can utilize information in order to advance mission or to be on the move with Jesus. There's some things that we've got to be careful that we have to reject that are not going to at all add to the kingdom, but that would be against kingdom advancement. And then there's some things that are just, man, this is absolutely, we receive it. We don't need to kind of tweak anything. This is absolutely biblical. This is where we want to go. And so I think there's some wisdom in exercising the 3 R's when looking at technology. I just read a statistic about, I think it's a barn. No, it's not a barn. It's something like 78% of teenager or kids 17 and under have looked at pornography. And then it kind of breaks down a lot of different other things. So there's a real threat to Imago Dei when it comes to technology. There really is. There's some things that are not okay, that we've got to have an image ethic, as Leonard Sweet would say. We've got to have an ethic of images. What are we looking at? What are we watching? What are we listening to? What metaphors are we believing about, what narratives are we believing? And so there's some of that we got to just kind of remember. And how do we do that too? That might be in a whole nother podcast.
Definitely.
How do we have a healthy image ethic? So anyway, that was just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff,
Just so he's got 500 quotes ready to go right now. While he's thinking too, I do think in there. Well, I already forgot what I was thinking. There's so much there, but Christians may not reject artificial intelligence because I can see benefits of like, man, I don't know what some next steps are, but here's something to help just get me started.
Yeah, get going.
But don't process that in isolation either. And we could say the same thing of things like this. Podcasts are information a lot of times. And this can feel like sitting around the table with people for those listening and having conversations. And it sort of is, except for that we are, the 3 of us, are sitting around a table wrestling. But for the listener, you still need to get in community and wrestle with what you're hearing in Christian community, because that's where God is at work there. And so as there's definitely going to be a tool for advancement and learning and quick information, but that's not all that we are. And I think we're going to see even more so as we become more of an information age, than the need to reorient around community so much more. And I think we already see that in our younger generations, that there's, like you said, both of you, there's a desire for authentic, there's a desire for real, and we're going to be looking for that. And so we have information, but what we don't have is connection with human beings. And I think we're going to need to push back towards that so much, because I believe futuristically this is going to continue to pull us away from people. And so we're going to have to make intentional decisions to push into community when it's hard.
I think it could be a great bridge for relationship, actually, if used correctly.
Yeah.
Like think about how many generations and just people struggle to connect. People struggle to understand one another. And so I just asked it, what are some of the biggest challenges facing sophomores in high school? And it spit out a bunch of stuff, but instead of just assuming these things, using these as talking points, like, one was like academic pressure. And so, if you're an adult and maybe there's your student, you're struggling to have conversations with them. You're like, how do I talk to them? I just feel like they're so isolated and shut off, and they just won't talk to me. Be like, hey, do you struggle with this? Do you feel like that this is a challenge in your life? It could be a bridge, not to just assume of like, all sophomores are struggling with academic pressure. Instead, being a bridge of like, hey, is this something that you struggle with? I was reading something and,
So it could expand your perspective. And open you up to asking more relational questions.
Yeah, because maybe you don't even know where to start. Maybe you're like, how do I even start a conversation? And so instead of just assuming and taking it, taking the tool and cloning it and saying, I'm just going to, take it, but make it your own. Make it to your context, because it can't understand your context. It can't understand the context of maybe you would flip it around. If you're a sophomore in high school, you flip it around. What are some of the challenges facing like a 40-year-old or whatever? Like, and you're just like, you're trying to understand mom or dad, and you're like, dude, this is so, you guys are so weird, or whatever, you know.
What
Like,
what are their values?
where they're going through a divorce or something, like, you know, there's so many things where it could be a helpful bridge in community. Like, again, don't do it don't isolate yourself.
Right.
We're assuming, you know, assumptions are just dangerous. Assumptions either way are always going to get us into trouble. So, but I see a benefit to creating relational bridges.
Really good.
Good.
Really interesting conversation. Thanks for going on the journey with me, guys.
Heck yeah.
You know, this is what it's about. I mean, we want to navigate being Christians, followers of Jesus in this current cultural moment. You know, the book of Ruth tells us that that message applies to us, that we were put here for such a time as this as well, to be God's witnesses, to be his hands and feet. We need to use biblical wisdom and discernment to navigate our current cultural processes and the things going on in our day. We need to recognize that we are called to navigate and approach things differently than our society and our culture might. But we need to ask God what that looks like and how to navigate that. And the amazing thing is that the Holy Spirit promises to help us and to help us process through those things. And I mean, when God tells us to love the Lord, or Jesus says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all of your mind, we also need to put our minds to work here to think critically and process through. But we need to bring all of these things to God. And so I think this is a great opportunity, because I think AI is going to totally change the landscape of our lives over the next 5 years. Sooner than 10, 5 for sure. And, you know, it's good to process through things before we get into there, and to know how should I respond before it happens. And so it's very interesting. I would love to know what other people are thinking too.
Yeah,
so
me too.
We do have our Patreon page, and if you're a subscriber, you can dialogue on there, and we keep the conversation going. But super interesting, super cool. I don't even know if there's a final thought to take away.
Maybe I would just say, as we like to say a lot of times, play this episode with 3 or 4 friends together, and don't be hasty with it. Take some time and dialogue.
I think also just praying, always prayer is a good thing. I'm going to come back to that and just saying, God, give me stewardship or understanding of how to use this tool for your glory and for, you know,
share with your small group, share with your Christian friends, and say, what do you think? Let's talk about this more and what the implications are, because I know there's so many more. So
and pray together as well. Yeah, for wisdom.
Yeah, pray with the AI, you know.
AI, will you pray with me? Okay, we've gone off the rails, but thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please rate, review, please share, and we'll see you at the table again soon.